Basic Gamer 7, and welcome back to some more Sims 4 Occult discussions. One, I hope my webcam doesn't look too weird. My webcam's been off lately. I've been mentioning that somewhat. I think I figured out it's the extender, because it seems to be one issue is fixed, but the sun today has some crazy intense passion of orange radiating from it, so it's actually coming through my window at a odder hue than usual. And a lot of times I don't necessarily record around this time of day, except for a lot of times it's usually like recording Tells and Legend of Zelda, so at that point the window isn't as big of a problem for me. So I had to fix with the settings. So I got one thing fixed because I think I figured out one issue, just to now have the sun being weird. But anyway, so we're going to continue on with some more Sims 4 Occult discussions. And you're probably wondering, what occults am I talking about in this video? Because it's talking about forgotten existing cults. They're not necessarily forgotten, but at the same time they sort of are. And one of them you can only get access if you have Jungle Adventure, but still, I feel the need to talk about them. So the two main ones we are focusing in this video is plant sims and skeletons. So they are in the game. Skeletons is Jungle Adventure, but a lot of people don't play Jungle Adventure strongly on their channels anymore. I don't know if that's just because they don't like it or they can't get as much from it, but I still like it as a vacation world, and I like having my sims go there, mainly couple sims, so things like honeymoons or just like a nice little getaway together. I really like using Jungle Adventure for that because I like a lot of the backdrops and scenery and things like that, and a vacation world definitely needs to be very strongly in looks compared to some of the other worlds. And Jungle Adventure is very, very beautiful to me. But one thing that I completely forget about when it comes to Jungle Adventure is skeletons. And that you can become them. But there's a certain way that you have to become them, other than through cheats. I'm pretty sure there's cheats that allow this. And I don't remember the fact of the matter is I've forgotten about them so much that I don't even fully remember what all they do. And I don't think I've seen, it's been a while since, Jungle Adventure came out, and actually watching other YouTubers play it, and, all of them touched on skeletons, but I don't think it was enough, or, there just wasn't enough there, that it did not retain into my brain. So for the fact of the matter is, I can't remember what all skeletons do in Sims 4. I do know that it's a curse, and it can be lifted, and one of the only things I do remember is when you try to eat, it just goes through your body, which I like that little detail. But I also think that it's lifted on its own in so many days. I think you can, I think there might be a way that lifts the curse that you can do yourself, but I think you can also just wait it out, and it will just go away. So that's one of the things I don't like. Skeletons would be an interesting thing to play around with. You can give them subtle differences from normal sims. I think the sun is now changing colors on me, so now my lighting settings for this video may just all have been for nothing. But anyway, so I think there should have maybe been an option for you to stay a skeleton if you really wanted to. I don't know as opposed to what benefits skeletons would give you, other than a lot of the needs would basically not have to be worried about. You wouldn't have to worry about hygiene unless, they finally have a way that they clean their bones in details. Oh, gotta make sure this crack nothing's getting in. That would be sort of funny if they at least allowed that, where they actually had to make sure they clean out the joints and stuff. But, so, little funny things, but, you definitely wouldn't have to really worry. I wouldn't think you have to worry about sleep anymore. You definitely wouldn't have to worry about eating, but I'd still like that little funny thing is if you try to eat and you try to sit amongst normal sims and act like you're at family dinner and you can eat, but it goes through, which is funny. So I hope that still stays an option. That would stay an option anyway, if they were to ever update them. The fact that skeletons are also connected to a pack, though, tells me that they're probably never going to be changed. That's the sad part about skeletons. They will probably never be changed, so this is just a discussion for if somehow 1 in a million odds it does. Plant sims have a higher chance of getting some updates and changes to them at some point in time, maybe in the future, though I sort of doubt it at this point, But if they were, they have more of a chance than skeletons because they're attached to base game, while skeletons are attached to a pack. And though packs do sometimes get updates and things like that to them, it's rare and it's usually got to be a big bug issue. This is not a bug issue, it's just a preference sort of issue, in a way. And because I haven't really seen the skeletons much in action and I don't remember them much in action, I don't know what extent their interactions would go to. I think that's one of the biggest strong suits the skeletons could have, is having special interactions to be able, maybe some of them along the lines the same as ghosts, because in the same way skeletons and ghosts are slightly the same prevalence. They're dead, technically. Obviously, in the terms of Jungle Adventure, they're actually not. But maybe they could play it off as almost like you are, but instead of being a ghost, you're in the skeleton state because of whatever happened to you. And maybe that could be eventually, like, that could have been something they could have done, that when Sims die and you bring them back, they have a rare chance to come back as a skeleton instead of a ghost, depending on maybe how they died or something. That would be a fun little thing, but again, I don't think anything with skeletons would happen. But yeah, it's just a little thought. But yeah, the interactions and, like, being able to roll your head around or doing really weird things with your bones, I think they technically had some interactions like that, but there's still not much. And I do know that there's, like, a blue, like, mosaic tile type skeleton as a decoration, and I can't remember if there is a chance for that to happen. But if skeletons were to become more of a permanent occult basis, like you can actually permanently keep your sim as a skeleton, it would definitely be cool to have that option, and maybe have special clothes for skeletons and that they fit them in a stranger way because, you know, they're over draping bones and not, like, flesh as well. So give them, like, a specialized category for skeletons stuff. But that would take a lot of work and overhaul, which I really don't think would happen. But at least being able to maybe change the bones, the look of the bones, maybe choosing cracked bones, the tile, blue bones for whatever reason. Like, some of those options would be fun to do and such for Create a Sim, because once you become a permanent occult, you do normally have to have some sort of, you can go into cast, basically. So they'd have to do something for them, but that's along the lines of what they could do. I would like to see the clothes fit differently on a skeleton, but again, if somehow they were to actually update them to give them a more permanent status and give them more to them, that's one of the things I definitely don't think they would do, because that would take them either going back on a lot of their clothes and adding the skeleton option to them and having to take that into consideration into future packs, or just make whole brand new clothes that are only for skeletons and for no one else. And I'm sure something like that could be taken off by some people. Some people would not like the fact that skeletons have options that normal Sims don't, and that skeletons can't wear everything that the normal Sims can wear. But obviously it wouldn't fit a skeleton the same, so they would have to change how it sort of fits and lays on there. And I don't know if the mechanics they have in the game right now to simulate a skinnier person versus a bigger person, how it changes the clothes on them, I don't know if that would fit right for the skeleton. Maybe it would, but I'm not entirely sure if it would. Now, the one big thing that I wanted to mention before I get off the topic of skeletons is one particular skeleton that has been mentioned several times throughout the years, and when I first tweeted out about my Sims for Occult discussions, trying to get an idea of what people would like to see, even if it was just a wild dream, and something that was actually mentioned a lot was Bonehilda. I do remember Bonehilda, but very, very vaguely. I'm pretty sure she's like a skeleton maid, and don't jump on me for not remembering, but I'm pretty sure she is a skeleton maid, and that is just hilariously funny, and I would love for that to be an option. I like little random silly things like that. The clown that jumped out of the painting, though yes, it was a little bit terrifying, that was still a little quirk. The bear that would come and steal trash out of trash cans randomly, and it was like tiptoeing up to the trash can. Like, yeah, we have the raccoons in the city living thing where people dress up raccoons and go through the trash, but they're walking around like normal little Sims, and it's just happening in the city. This bear was on regular house lots, and it literally tiptoed up to the trash can, searched around, and I think it was supposed to be a cheeseburger that I got out of there, but the first time I saw it, for some reason, I immediately thought it was a dirty diaper. So even though I knew that it wasn't, from then on, it was always a dirty diaper, because I just thought it was hilarious in my head for some reason that this bear, out of all things, was stealing dirty diapers out of trash cans. But little silly things like that is some of the things that I loved most about Sims in the past. So yes, I would love Bonehilda to come back. I would love some more of those weird options that would randomly be there. Randomly getting a bone skeleton made, yes, that would be funny and unexpected. And potentially would cause me in some households to try to fire maids and stuff until I got one. I don't remember the path of way of how to get her. I almost remember something about buying an object, though, because I think it was similar to, like, the robot maid. I'm remembering, but I'm not remembering at the same time. But yeah, that would be hilarious either way, even if you could buy an object, or if it was randomly you got it through the Sims service, or both. I would be okay with it. Those little things, those little random things that are not realistic, but they are funny, that's what I want. And I feel like something like Bonehilda, because the thing with the occults, not everyone wants occults, and not everyone wants some of the themes associated with the occults. Because I feel like the wider majority of people are more realism players when it comes to Sims, and they're, like, very realism. Like, must have a bunch of realistic things. But there are a few things here or there with the occults and other stuff like that that can lean more towards the unrealistic side, but it's not so far off, and it's, like, more of a smaller detail versus a bigger detail, like actually having vampires walking around and stuff like that, that even the realism players could like. And I feel like Bonehilda is one that realism or non-realism player or somewhere in between would like and enjoy and have a little kick out of it. So I wish they would do more stuff like that and bring more stuff like that back. I feel like they've gotten almost too serious, and in some ways try to take realism into account almost too much, and I feel like that's a downfall of a lot of games. And I'm not even saying that as someone who really wants a bunch of occults in Sims and wants a mix of realism and non-realism. I'm just saying that in general, because a lot of times they're limited, or they're so focused on being realistic, it's not enjoyable, if that makes sense. And this is literally for all video games in my mind. They get too stuck. And then also another thing that can occur, more so with some other games than Sims, because the way Sims is, I feel like it slightly changes, but it is affected by it a little bit. It can really get stuck in its time very quickly if there's too much focus on realism, because a lot of times they're using what's happening right then and there, and things that are going on and things that are popular at the time, to focus that realism and seriousness on, and then it's something that can get boring very quickly. So I would love little things like that to come back, so that there's not that constant repetition, there's not that constant familiarity that's easier to get bored. Something that's a little bit different and funny and be like, oh, to give it a little spice. Now, as far as the plant sims definitely have a higher chance than the skeletons of getting some sort of revamp. I still don't think it's going to happen. Even though they're still making packs, and they've stated that they're making packs, I do think there is some discussion of Sims 5 going on at this point. Now, how far that discussion is, if it's literally in the very first stages of planning and just starting to get some of the stuff on paper, or if it's starting to get into some coding and all that stuff, who knows? I definitely know it's more towards the beginning stages, but I do have a feeling that Sims 5 is somewhat around the corner. I don't think within the next year or two. And partially because the thing is, with games nowadays, a lot of these games, especially the ones that are through things like Steam and Origin and stuff like that, they can constantly be updated. They can have updates to fix some graphic stuff. They can have updates to change things and things like that because of how internet and stuff is. I mean, I think GTA is a big lender that they can add stuff to it. Even Skyrim. They've both been around for so long. They're on multiple platforms, but they get, like, graphics revamped, they get DLCs, or they get stuff you can buy or add on to them. And there's a lot of games like that starting to be like that at this point, because you can just have an update easy to go out versus having to remake a whole new game because everyone's stuff is on disc and you can't have a way to get it out to everyone. But now it's easier to get it out to everyone because most of these games require you to have internet to begin with. So it updates automatically through distribution among the internet. So they can constantly update it. They can fix things if they need to, or want to. Because let's face it, a lot of games nowadays need fixes, and sometimes it doesn't always happen. So I think that's the reason why Sims 4 is going on longer than the other ones. And technically, 2 and 3 went on longer than 1. But 2 and 3 did go around the same amount of time. But 4 is now more into the era of being able to more easily update things and distribute things to the point where they can focus on trying to make this one more updated and giving it more, or trying to. So I think that's why Sims 4 is sticking on longer than the others, and it probably is going to. That being said, I still think in some degrees there is at least discussions of a Sims 5. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic in a way. So with that being said, they could easily maybe add some more to the Plant Sims. It is a base game type thing. It was like a little update or whatever. And they could add them and do some changes to them and stuff like that. But if Sims 5 is around the corner, I don't know if they're going to focus on something like that at this point. I think they would more focus in fixing the really bad, like any bad issues that people are having that are breaking the game or anything like that, or bugging the game out too much. And packs that are coming up, expansion stuff, game pack, whatever. I don't think they would look back to some of the stuff they've already done and try to fix or add or improve things that are not necessarily needed. But with the Plant Sims, I really feel like they were slightly a letdown. They easily could have been a full-on occult. I think they still are technically called an occult, but at the same time, you cannot do anything with them in cast. You can't make them in cast. You can't change anything about them in cast. And it doesn't last forever. I forget how long it lasts, but it's another thing like the whole skeleton thing where it doesn't permanently last. Now, I feel like the Plant Sims in some ways had more going on with them than the skeletons did, but I've had more experience with the Plant Sims, I guess, in a way, also. But I still feel like there's some more they could have done with them, and I think they could have easily made it permanent. And again, I'm not a programmer and stuff, I don't know those things, but they easily could have made the tree that you make to go through and be able to become a Plant Sim, easily could have maybe produced 2 different types of fruit. One that can either help you as a Plant Sim, and one that can reverse the changes of a Plant Sim. Or maybe, like, there's another plant that you can grow that can take away the effects of the Plant Sim. So that your Sim technically didn't have to stay a Plant Sim. Because I think most of the cults have a way to reverse being that occult if you really don't want to. I think. I definitely know vampires do. I'm not really sure about mermaids, though. And spellcasters, in a way, spellcasters are the closest to being normal humans other than the magic themselves. They easily could just stop using magic at any time. But in some ways, I could be wrong on this, but I feel like I did see something that got rid of their spellcaster abilities. But maybe I'm wrong about that, or either I've seen it from a mod or something. But I was thinking, for the most part, they have something to either lessen or get rid of theirs. I definitely know vampires do, so they could easily add that as an option. Where if you didn't want to be the Plant Sim anymore, there's cheats and also a plant that could, if you eat the fruit, it turns you back to a normal Sim. And I think they could have had a lot of fun with the Plant Sims when it comes to how they look. Overall, they just seem to turn green, and their hair turns green. And if you're using CC, it automatically forces the hair that they have off of them for a normal base game hair that is green, which is sort of annoying. I wish that, you had the cast options and you could give them whatever hair you wanted to. I'd say still, I personally would keep it green, but I wouldn't necessarily limit the options because technically there are plants out there that are not green, and some of them are not mostly green. They have some green on them, but there's not a lot. I From my dad owning greenhouses, I've seen quite a few plants that don't have any green on them or little green on them. So I don't think necessarily a plant sim should be forced to be green. I feel like there should be a few other options, and it should be able to be chosen by the player in some ways. But they could have also done a lot of fun little skin details, added the fact that you can add maybe little flowers on your sim, like randomly there's flowers on there, and maybe they can even made it like it was like buds and they open up when they hit the sun. Or even little fruits or something. Ivy, just different stuff they could have added as like a little extra skin detail to make plant sims be unique from each other. But the fact that you can't permanently stay a plant sim, I'm sure that's why they didn't do it, because you're not going to have enough people being plant sims all at the one time to really pay attention. But again, this is talking about if they were more of a permanent occult, and I wish they were. But from what I remember, a lot of the interactions that plant sims had were nice. They were happier when they were out in the sunlight. There's like a little mood that they got off of it. I don't know if seasons with rain does anything to the plant sims. I really haven't experimented much with plant sims in the seasons, but that would be a cool little thing that they could do, since plant sims technically are base game. If you have seasons, maybe there's a little extra thing they add. They react differently during the seasons, so that would be definitely interesting. Probably wouldn't do as well in the winter. They'd have to stay inside and stuff. They're not getting as much sun. Maybe they can even include objects like heat lamps that some people use for plants when they're indoors, the solar lights or whatever. So maybe during the winter or during cloudy days, or for some reason days they can't get out as much, they have the little heat lamp that maybe they can sit next to or lay under or something. Whatever size they would end up making it. But little things like that would add some more playability and different things for the plant sims and different little challenges for the player. Like, you have to worry about other things, and I think that's some of the parts that I like with the occult sims. You have to worry about things. The occult sims tend to be a slightly more challenged version of regular sims. Regular sims have all their needs, but then occult sims have needs plus a few other things here and there that they may have to worry about, things that will hinder them a little bit faster than normal sims, but they also have a one-up on certain things from the other sims. Plant sims, obviously a lot of their stuff would revolve around plants, gardening, things like that. So, and potentially they could add more things as well. Maybe if they can add a little thing, if you have eco-lifestyle, they're easier to have an easier time heading towards more of the eco-friendly stuff. So things that they do make more of a drastic difference, or they have more of an easier time talking about eco stuff like that. They have a little edge up because they are plant sim themselves. They feel the damage that maybe the air is bringing to them. Maybe that's something they can even conclude. If you have a neutral thing, the plant sim doesn't have a moodlet or anything, but if you have an eco or an industrial, maybe the plant sim's affected by that. There's a lot of things I think they could have easily done with plant sims, way more than they did. And I feel like plant sims did get cheated even more so than the skeletons, just because the skeletons would be fun and all, but I don't think they would necessarily have as many elements as the plant sims could have. I'd still like to see both of them have more of a impactful, bigger role as an occult sim, a more permanent role, but if I had to choose one over the other, it definitely would be plant sims. One, they're the most realistic to do too, because they are base game. They were a free update to base game. But also just because they do have some more options that would make gameplay interesting, a little bit different, add some different elements more so, add some more challenges here and there and stuff. And I think the plant sims got the short end of the stick. I get that they were part of a free update, but honestly, with some of the updates that we've gotten, some of the updates are little minor updates, and then some of them are huge updates that a lot of stuff actually comes with. So I feel like they could have done a little bit more for plant sims. Again, I'm not a programmer, so maybe I'm wrong about this stuff. Maybe it took a lot more for them to do plant sims and stuff for what they normally give to updates, but still, I think there's a way they could have done it, and even if they did it in multiple updates, yes, that would have been annoying, but maybe if they did the update they did, and then as follow-up update, like, a few months on down the road, or maybe even do it, because I think it was like a spring event thing or something that came a part of. They could have literally done it the next time of year they added on to it or something, but, you know, I don't work over there, so who knows if they ever had, if they just added plant sims. I know people were asking for them, so I don't know if that's why they added them, or if they had intentions to add them from the beginning, or if they just seen it as a nice little update to celebrate springtime, or what, and they had no plans to try to include the thought of plant sims in anything else. I don't know, but it would have been nicer to see them have a little bit more to them, and it's sort of sad that they don't. And considering that I feel like we have definitely less occult sims than normal, and not to mention, for the most part, most of them were a little bit underwhelming. Vampires is about the only one that I've truly enjoyed it compared to its previous ones, but the rest of them have been a little bit of letdowns compared to what my hopes were for them, or what comparing them to previous ones. So they're still fun. I still like the spellcasters. I still like having the mermaids, even though I wish there was more to them. I still like having these occults. I like the fact that there's robots now and stuff. I still wish there was more behind them. And I definitely feel like there is more of a huger focus on that realism effect. And when they do the non-realism stuff, they don't, I feel like they don't put as much into it, except for Star Wars. They put a whole lot of interest in that one. But, yeah, so that's just my personal thoughts on those two particular cults. Let me know your thoughts of them down below. I will say this is potentially the last episode of Sims 4 Occult Discussions, unless right now I don't think too many of my newest ones since my last update video have comments on them. So once I feel like there's enough to do an update, read comments type thing, I will do that. But as of right now, this is the last one that I am planning. So until then, or until there's like a more in-depth, I might, if they ever announce any occults coming, I might do like a little thing where I talk about, reiterate them. Like if they end up mentioning a pack that includes fairies or something, I may go back and talk about fairies a little bit more, and like from what they have shown us, if they end up showing like a reveal thing or something, from what I see compared to what I was wanting, something like that. But other than that, this is probably the last episode of Sims 4 Occult Discussions itself. Let me know if there was any occults that you sort of wish I would have talked about in the series and that you thought I missed, or ones that you'd like to see even more videos on, just in case I do end up making some more, or, you know, making an update where I talk about comments and things like that and add to it. So yeah, definitely feel free to talk down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you've liked this series, hit that lovely like button, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!